Hi everyone, my name is Claire Liu and I'm the CEO of Know Your Company. And today I have a really special guest. I have Sara Sutton, who is the CEO and founder of FlexJobs, an incredible resource for folks who are looking for remote work, as well as she's the founder of remote.co, which is another incredible resource for remote work. And so Sara is someone who I met at a conference. I want to say back in September that she helped organize, and that I spoke at. And it's just been incredible to hear the company she's run for the past 10 years, having grown it to 100 people. And there's just a lot to be learned from you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be in Chicago.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so Sarah's actually in from Colorado on this very snowy day. So we're very happy she could make it.
No flight delays. Yay.
Yes. So Sara, there's this one question that I want to ask you that I've been asking a lot of leaders who I respect, which is, what's something you wish you would have learned earlier as a leader?
There are a lot of different areas I can answer that, because I think there's a lot of things I wish I knew earlier or sooner. But one of the concepts that comes back around for me, and I've probably embraced the most, is listening to your gut instinct. It's something that for me, I dropped out of college to start my first company with a friend.
Wow.
We were two women who did not have business experience. It was a passion idea. We created the first online entry level job database.
Wow. And how old were you at the time?
We were 21. So we dropped out. Well, we convinced our parents to let us have a semester off. And we were going to try this crazy idea. But it was right when the internet was coming out. It was 95. So it was pretty early in terms of like getting it adopted. And I went to Berkeley, and it was one of those times where you still couldn't get email addresses readily. I mean, it was really, really pretty early. And we loved this idea. She was going to be a teacher. I was going into international relations. So neither of us had business background. And when we dove in wholeheartedly, and we tried to teach ourselves everything we could. We read business books. We were, just diving in and getting, starting to raise money and all of these different areas. And the internet culture and kind of this youth entrepreneurship movement really hadn't started. It was pretty new. And so we were young, and we had a lot of people telling us that we had a great idea, but here, you have to do it this way or this way or this way. And we saw a different way in many of the cases. And I'm keen on learning, so I love listening. And we knew we weren't business experts, and we were coming into this as first-time entrepreneurs. So we probably took people's advice against our own instinct much more often than we should have. And I know that when I looked back after selling the company, at kind of the things I would have changed, or what I wish is there anything I wish I had done differently?
Yep.
And I'm not a big believer in the concept of regret, but I do like to reflect and look at what I could have learned and where was that moment maybe. Those moments of inflection, kind of.
Absolutely.
What happened if you'd done it differently. And more often than not, almost all the big ones were times where I had a gut instinct on something, and that I could back up with competitive research or with data or with that I could back it up.
Sure. It's not like you were just dreaming.
But it went against somebody else's opinion, or in that case, many like more traditional business approaches. And so I've looked at that, and I've embraced it throughout my career since then a little bit more. And certainly in my second company, I've been able to own it much better, and to listen to that gut, again, balancing it out with having some really important data points and research. I believe in due diligence, but it's something, and defensibility of the ideas.
Yes.
But gut instinct is something that's very valuable. You can't learn it with an MBA. You can't learn your gut instinct. So it's like a really valuable tool.
Definitely. I feel like, I'm sitting here just nodding my head because I'm like, no. I struggled with, listening to my gut, I think my entire career as an entrepreneur and as a founder. It's incredibly difficult. It's something to this day I still know that that's very vital. And so it's refreshing to hear you share that that's something that you've similarly, gone through. And I'm curious, when do you know, right? So like I think sometimes I've been in situations where all the ideas sound good, and I do have a gut feeling about one of them. But how do you know like when to listen and then when to be humble and take it and learn it and maybe go a different way?
Yeah, I feel like for me there's probably two main situations, then some in between. But sometimes there are situations where you just really believe in something and it might not make sense, but you really feel like it's right, and you have a real strong sense about it, and you might not be able to make it defensible from all of the data points at this point, and you need people to have a little faith, and you're having little faith that something about your experience and where you are at that time and place has given you this insight that it's good to listen to it. And I think depending on the type of leader you are, generally if you have a team behind you or people you're working with or investors or what have you, but you've earned it a little bit. They trust you. You're the leader for a reason.
Yes.
And I think you can't tap into that all the time. You have to save it for select moments.
Right.
But if people can trust you to make these leaps and have that vision and support you, even if they don't totally see it yet, I think it's a wonderful thing. I mean, that's vision, it's innovation, it's at the core of a lot of really huge forward-thinking and successful ideas and businesses. Again, you can't do it all the time, though. So the rest of the time, I really focus on defensibility of ideas. And I might have a core, and not only for myself, but for my team. I might have an idea, but I really look at what can back it up. And making sure that, does it make sense for the company now? I might have an idea that I love, and I think it's going to be great. We definitely are going to have to do it. But now actually might not be the time. And I used to have at our first company, we had like people coming to us with ideas all the time, and we had no shortage of ideas, as any healthy company does not have a shortage of good ideas. But it's about when to execute them, and is this the right time, and do we have the right resources? And so we finally tacked up a piece of paper on a wall, and I think in crayon, had written, or marker or something, was like crazy ideas, and so somebody would come to our desk and they'd be talking about this idea, and we'd be like,
that's it.
Put it on the wall.
Put it on the wall.
So we would go through that. We left it on the wall, and we'd go through it sometimes. And be like, "Ooh, it didn't work then, but actually, let's try that now." And so there are sometimes that even with yourself, when you have a gut instinct on something, that you have to give it some space to breathe. It might not be now, but it's something I really believe in, not losing those ideas or those kind of instincts. I like to write them down or keep them somewhere where I can revisit. And put together the pieces of the puzzle that'll support it.
I think like this idea of listening to your gut instinct not being in opposition of putting something maybe on hold or listening to it later, right? And the timing of it. I love that you can do both, and that listening to your gut doesn't always mean just sort of doing it right in the moment. And then also what I thought was really interesting is, I mean, you use the word defensibility, which I think a lot of people, they don't associate with gut instinct, right? It's like one or the other. You can either defend it and sort of like state a case, or you just like listen to your own little maybe crazy inner voice or whatever. And you're saying, no, well, they're actually very complementary, and they should be used very much together. So I think that's really, really wonderful. Another thing I was thinking about too is, again, just sort of personally reflecting on, how I, have always tried to find ways of, how do I get better at listening to my gut, is a lot of times there have been moments where I do not listen to my gut because I'm scared of it not working out. Because the difference between listening to your gut when, the difference between just like going with an idea where it's like fully defendable and everyone is on board versus like it's just you and it's just your kind of idea. It's like, well, if we do that, and then it's like if it doesn't work out, that's on me. So I'm curious, for you, do you think through sort of like how you communicate that, or how do you, I don't know, like how do you make sure that when you, or deal with sort of maybe that fear of it not working out always, or that doubt?
I try to take a Zen approach to it in many cases, but I also believe failure is really important for learning.
Yep.
So the Zen part is that I really try to, I guess I try to let go of some of the self-doubt. I think that it's inherent in all of us, and I think with entrepreneurs, and it depends on who you have on your team too. I've been in both situations. One that I'll give examples of. One with, for example, a board and investor group that was very highly critical, and often looking for kind of fault or if something goes wrong, whose head's gonna roll kind of concept, that old idea. And then my current investors and board members are, the first time when something goes wrong, the first thing they say is, "How can we help?"
Yeah.
And that shift is monumental. I
right.
mean, obviously, in a successful organization that's going to push limits or be innovative, you need risk.
Yes.
You need people to feel comfortable taking risk and putting themselves out there sometimes. However, you don't want people doing it blindly or without kind of that, thinking it through, that defensibility, kind of that balancing the strategy, the short and long-term risk, the short and long-term benefits, etc. So I do try to look at it as a long road, though. And if you have a team, if you can build a team with you, both colleagues and if you have funders who can understand and be there as the longer game, that one failure doesn't reflect negatively. In fact, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone can often be a much more beneficial situation in the long run.
Yes.
When it's done occasionally, when you're not doing it and falling flat on your face every single time.
Right.
But falling on your face is an important lesson. I mean,
and it's a lesson.
Yeah, and you learn a ton from it.
It's a lesson.
Yeah. And it makes you more strategic next time and more, careful in your due diligence. And I view failure as an important part of growth. It's not something I encourage, and I try to set people up for success.
Sure. Right.
But I'm a mom, and I have 2 kids, and it's the same thing. You want them to have some failures. They learn consequences and learn how to plan things out more. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about and wondering, with this idea of trusting yourself and being okay with maybe it not working out, right, and letting go of that is. You make the decision, right? You make the call, but then it's, there are all these other people, whether it's employees, board members, investors, partners, who you have to now share, okay, we're going with this. We're going with the gut decision, right? How do you do that? How do you think about that? I'm curious to learn more about, your thoughts around that.
I think collaboration and kind of engagement within your team is super important. And so it depends on what we're doing, but I feel as if I try to get my team members to have ownership as well.
Yeah.
Our company is a very mission-driven company. We help people find jobs. We help people find better situations in their lives. And that's something that from every single person, every single role in our company, we can find ownership of. We have researchers who go out and kind of find jobs to add to our site.
Yeah.
And, you can consider that a pretty straightforward, in some ways, simple job. But when they're the one who found that job lead, that a job seeker lands that job, and we get a success story hearing that those dots were connected.
Yes.
I mean, it is incredibly gratifying.
Yeah.
So that's an example. That's our big mission. But with projects too, I try to get people's engagement. We're working on a really big company project right now that involves engagement and real dedication from different teams.
Yep.
And it was my idea. It was my crazy idea to do this.
Yeah.
But having people feel they have a voice and having ownership in it as well, and also validating their concerns.
Yes.
Really listening and soliciting feedback and constructive criticism and why they think it's a good idea or a bad idea. And then if they can come around too, you get them on board.
Absolutely.
And they'll fight more for it. Or be more, it's exciting. It generates excitement.
Definitely. I mean, I was curious because I think there's definitely moments where, you make the call and then you're like, okay, are we just going with it? And it's so much more than that. It's, like you said, you have to give people ownership and make sure they're bought in.
It's a cultural thing. I mean, if your culture is, you don't want to be the blind leader, right?
Yes.
You don't want everyone just following you and not questioning.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't, at least. For me, part of our healthy culture is that kind of the voices and that everyone has a voice in the company. and that we can kind of work together. And
definitely,
while I might lead some things, other people on my team come up with great ideas, and let's do those too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and I might come up with a crappy idea, and I need people to tell me this.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
And I have people who will. So I appreciate it.
It's important. Well, Sara, I would love to also know for those of you who are watching who are either current entrepreneurs, current founders, or aspiring entrepreneurs, and who struggle with this tension of when to listen to to one's gut versus listening to to others. What advice do you have for them?
I think that as an entrepreneur or as you enter this, it's hard. I think being patient with yourself is really important. It's not my strength. I will be the first to admit that that's something I have really had to work on. Not just for myself, but probably more so for how I work with my team members. If I were just a solopreneur and didn't have anyone else working for me, it would be no problem. But when I do work with other people, and being able to be patient that way, in terms of how you get ideas, and understanding that not everybody gets to a decision place or gets somewhere the same way you do.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so hard.
It's really hard, and you can't always. There are other times where people are just going to have to try to run and keep up if that's the case, or you pick your moments. I think that Zen component. I view my business and probably even things in my life a little bit more pink in the wash, more than I ever used to. I think I took a lot of individual cases very to heart, and I still take a lot of pride. Integrity is like my number one word in my company, and you have to have integrity in every given point. But the pink in the wash concept has helped me with being patient. I mean, with realizing that not every single thing has to happen the exact way I thought it would.
Yeah.
And so if that means I'm trying to engage somebody to, I have my gut, and if you're trying to listen to your gut and you want other people to be listening too, you have to, give them a little space sometimes.
Yeah.
But I do believe that balancing the logic, like my brain works in an art and science way.
Yes.
So probably the gut is more on the art side generally. And I like to bring in the other side as well. So sometimes I can have an idea and I'm not sure if it's that great, or it's like a gut thing that I'm like, I'm not sure. So let me look at the numbers. Let me look at the strategy. Let me look at all this, and that'll help me. It'll help it be like, yep, this is a good idea, or nope, that's not a good idea.
Yes.
And then other times you just really have to, listen to the voice.
Right.
When I started my company, and I imagine it's the same, or both my companies, they're ideas I had that I couldn't get out of my head. And I think that is what is a common story for many people.
Yes.
And that's the kind of gut instinct that I think you shouldn't try to shut out.
Right.
I think you have to really listen and explore and vet and give it the kind of the due diligence, the attention it's asking for.
Yes.
There's a reason for that.
Definitely. I mean, Sara, that idea of patience, right? Of patience with, not everyone getting what your gut instinct is on something, and that it's not going to come out clean. It's going to be a little messy. A little color's going to rub off on those white sheets or, towels or whatever. And I so appreciate that reminder. And then also, this idea that listening to your gut isn't just sort of one pure channel, but it can be complemented with this both art and science, like you were saying, backing it up. And so thank you so much for being here, for stopping by from Colorado and sharing some of your wisdom with all of us. We appreciate
my pleasure. Thank you so much. And I appreciate what you're doing and kind of pulling information from entrepreneurs and helping to share that with other entrepreneurs and business people. But I think that trying to pay it forward and not recreate the wheel when you don't have to, learning from other people's experiences is really critical. And it's something that I haven't always had in my career, and I think it's fantastic.